Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Last Epoch dev stream. As always, I am your host, Mike. I'm glad to have you here. We're gonna hop right in, just bump right into the monolith here. I'm gonna try and level up a little bit and see if we can push through this monolith as quick as we can. Maybe do a few more dungeons. I know we were a little underleveled for the next tier of dungeons as I was trying to do last stream, but we're here. Let's do this thing. Ooh, 2 shrines at the start. Nice. Ooh, good ones too. My goodness.
Easy. Too easy.
Am I gonna have to like go hard? This one's down a bit. I've been having this weird thing going on with my headphones recently. I don't know what it is, but all of a sudden they were incredibly quiet. Like incredibly quiet. So I had them like cranked all the way up to 100. Everything was cranked to full. I had like downloaded extra programs to like get my volume turned up louder. And I turned my computer on yesterday, and all of a sudden the volume was back to normal, and I kind of hurt my ears a bit. But and I don't know why, but the G. And now the lights are off completely, and I don't know what's going on at all. But there were lights on my headset, and the G turned blue, and it started working again. I'm like, all right, whatever. So we're back and working again. Woohoo! Hello, everybody. Hello, Aaron. Glad to have you here. Don't normally see you live for the streams. Glad to have you with us. I don't know if you had enough material to do any sort of dev chat last week. It was basically me just struggling to breathe. Hello, Rhymed. I am having a great day. Hope you're having a good day too. God, here. Very happy with this build. So many dots so many elements stack up so quickly on these enemies. Feels real nice.
Not happening.
Yeah, if this is anyone's first time here, I'm one of the developers for 11th Hour Games, working on Last Epoch, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have. As you see, other people in channel are already putting an Ask Last Epoch Game tag on their questions, and it'll get me to answer it much easier. Also, any and all money we get through donations and bits and subs and everything, it all goes to charity. And for the last couple months, well, last month and this month, our charity has been a relief fund for Ukrainian children who are affected by the war, unfortunately. So yeah, that's all about me here, and we're matching up to 10,000 donations for as long as we're doing this. And we just Heavy has used some bits here with a nice little message. Can't attend the stream today again, but I like that you kept supporting Ukraine for April as well. Yes, glad you're checking in to say hi. Sorry you can't stay. Hope you're having a good day. Thanks for the bits. Woo! Yeah, the only thing that updates live is direct donations, which there's a link down below, and in the downtime between streams, I update the subs and bits and all that sort of stuff added on. So that's where the number goes up while we're offline. Whoever designed Cold Spriggan with the autocast is an awesome person. I will let them know. They don't get a chance to hang out and stream much, but I know they've been working really hard to get more unique items for the hotfix, and I'm sure they'd love to hear that. Oh, we got Dahariel has a minute ago. I missed it. Oh, sorry about that. He's gifted a sub to Action RPG. Aaron Action RPG. Congrats, Aaron. Thank you very much, Dahariel. And Vision GL's coming up, raiding party of 20 people. Welcome everyone from Vision Stream. Glad to have you with us. Oh, I'm I'm so good at this. I'm running away from the objective. Don't worry, guys. I know what I'm doing. That's right. Just trying to kill some extra things to get like an extra bonus stability, you know? You know? Tetralogy, hey, nice to see you. Couple healthy announcements these past few days. Yeah, we had some cool fun stuff. Yeah, there's, if anyone hasn't heard, this is a good time to shout out. I'll mention it again in a little bit, but there's a new program we're running on our website. You know, I could probably there's so many like things in my Chrome that are just like on that I just want to have like a stealth Chrome. I guess I could do an incognito browser, but we'll just turn everything off. So there's a community design unique event. So we're going to be designing a unique item with the community. And it's going to involve a series of votes, and we're going to take that information from how people are voting and kind of massage an item together with you guys as best we can. And here's the timeline for all of it. So the first little bit's kicked off. If you are looking for it in here and you don't see jewelry is relic slot as well. That'll include relics. So yeah, if you haven't voted already, come vote. There's 2 of them. I'm surprised the votes are so different. There's five off. That's interesting. Yeah, we're gonna be making a unique item with the community, which I'm really excited about. I think it's gonna be fun. I'm excited to see what everyone comes up with. There's already some interesting ideas. Someone was mentioning about wanting to design a bow for a Primalist. And unfortunately, we probably can't do that for this, just because it would require so many system changes. But I think if I had to guess long term, I'd say there's a good chance that'll happen one day. I just don't think it'll be a launch option. It might be. Who knows? We either would have to end up with only a single skill that was compatible on Primalist, or it would require a lot of changes. And one of those is not very great, and one of those is very time-consuming, so we'll have to see if we have the time for it.
Not happening.
Alright, let's bring up some questions here so I can start answering things. Also, if people want to follow along, !build in chat will bring up link to a build guide that I am loosely following, stumbling into, we'll say. So I got lucky and found this amazing quiver that I'm going to show off again. I only respond to mockery for leaks. Yeah. That's why I didn't even push you for leaks. Well, yeah, I didn't have any leaks last week. It was April Fool's. I didn't, honestly, I didn't think anything that I said that was related to the game as far as leaks would be taken seriously enough to be worth putting in. Big disclaimers like, this is real, this isn't real, and people are like, are you serious? I can't tell.
Not happening.
So he's stuck with just fun stuff. And a few people messaged me to ask me if I was okay after that stream. Yes, if you're wondering, I'm totally fine. I've done that lots of times before. Some of the hot sauce I brought out, I actually had some more wings, because a big pack of wings. We cooked the rest of them a few nights ago. And I had too much hot sauce that time. So the second time was too much. I was struggling. When is bow unique items coming to other classes? Since Kane confirmed community unique cannot make bows for the classes. Yeah, okay, so I guess I kind of started talking about that already. It's one of those things where, yeah, we'd love to do it, and I don't think anyone's debating that it's a good idea or not. I think that's pretty clear it's a good idea. But yeah, timing's tough to do. So there's lots of things we need to get in first, or make sure are solid first, before we can start working on things like that. If I had to guess, I'd say, I don't want to put a timeline on it, but I would say post-launch would be my realistic guess. or something like that. I know that's not what people really want to hear, but who knows what'll happen? But I wouldn't hold your breath on that one, unfortunately. I'm sorry.
Not happening.
Oh, it could happen. Don't say that. If anyone hasn't noticed yet, I talk back to my character. Thank you, Saigon3, for 5 gifted subs to the channel. That's 5. Yep. Thank you very much. Congrats to anyone who got one of those. Anyone I recognize in there? Lizard, nice. Quiet. Oh wow. There you go. They're gonna get here and be like, "Oh, I can't see what number it was now." But thank you very much. Speaking of bonus stability, was this always a solution in mind? What were the previous solutions for bonus stability that were part of the brainstorming? I don't think this was always a solution in mind. It was definitely something that we considered pretty early on as an option. Lots of times with systems like Monolith, when there's these large systems that have a lot of different subsystems involved with them. So I would call the Monolith as a system as a whole, and then like timelines as a thing in the Monolith, as like a subsystem in the Monolith, and then stability building up inside that timeline to to access the boss as a different subsystem. You know, there's all these different things that needs to work really well together as in the Monolith ecosystem as a whole. And sometimes we've like released intentionally simplified versions of things to see how that works, to get feedback on specific things and then expand on it down the road. Now, it's not like we were sitting there and we were like, okay, here's a full system, let's pare back these things to get a basic version and release that first. That's not really what was happening. But I think at some point when we're in our initial design phase, we do look at a system and go, like, what's the core of the system? What do we need to really make this fun and interesting? And then once it has gotten into people's hands, we do look at some more complex things to give it a little more depth. What am I doing? I think I was pumping points into this. Just 'cause I love Silver Shroud. I kind of just want to pump all of this. You know what I should do? You know what I should do? Let's look up the build I'm following. See, I've already horribly deviated from it. I'm taking a picture of it because my computer's not a fan of having that site open at the same time. So, I'm going to close it. What am I missing here? Nothing in here, really? Oh. What's wrong, Reimer? Come on. Just kidding. We do want to experience those, so let's go down this way. What are the solutions do we have in mind? The goal, so honestly I don't remember the exact other things that were on the table. The goal of the bonus stability in general, the way we're setting it up, is mostly, there's a few different goals it has. One, we did want to speed up boss farming in general. Just getting into more boss, just getting in to fight more bosses just faster, just in general. That's one thing. So just giving more stability in general makes that possible, right off the bat. And we looked at different systems where we just give more stability for anything, different like events, so killing specific types of enemies, like killing rare enemies to get more stability, things like that. Like all sorts of different ways to just give more stability. we looked at just reducing the stability costs of going into all these things, like just lots of different ways, just move the numbers around so you just go in faster. But that wasn't the only goal, really. So we also wanted to extend the time that you're spending in each individual echo. Now, simply just reducing the amount of stability you need or increasing the amount of stability you get doesn't increase the time you spend in an echo. It actually probably reduces it, because just going through it being the fastest thing possible means you're gonna spend less time, because you're just gonna try and get through them faster and faster each time. So with the second goal of also increasing the time you're spending in each echo, but decreasing the time between boss fights, there has to be something that you're incentivized in a positive way, but not punished in a negative way, to spend more time in the echo to get something out of that. I know I've talked about this a few times about how there's a similarity between Path of Exile's maps and Epoch's Monolith echoes. The big difference being that the echoes are free to enter. There's no lost currency by entering an echo, but there is lost currency, the map itself, by entering a map. And so that restriction on its own, because the map itself holds value and you're using something that has value to go into the map, you want to get as much value out of that map as you can. So you're already just naturally incentivized to do as much as possible in there and spend as much time in there and kill as many things as you can.
Not happening.
So yeah, that's one of the main reasons why killing more things was part of that. Now, I know we're still looking at exactly the best things to do with this, and it's all evolving. It's all a work in progress. I don't think that's really a new concept from us. It's getting hot in here. Clothes are staying on, though. What's my favorite part of developing Last Epoch? Oh, great question. My favorite thing to work on is skills. New skills, updating old skills, designing skills in general. That's my favorite thing to work on. But my favorite part of it, as a whole, I guess, it's just working on something you love, creating something, having that look what we made type thing.
Not happening.
It's really cool. That's my favorite part. Just being able to point at a bit and be like, we made this. Pretty incredible. Already surpassed my initial expectations. I mean, obviously you always hope that something's going to be bigger and cooler and more fun than anything, but you try and temper expectations. Alright, next question. Hey Mike, quick question. It would be helpful to have a respec passive vendor in the new Champions Gate. Keep up the great work. Hope the hot sauce treated you well. Yeah, it did. I used the honey sauce. The first sauce I tried last week, I used this really heavy honey one. Made a great teriyaki sauce with it a couple nights ago. The wife tried all the sauces and she was like, they're way hotter than you were letting on stream. And I'm like, I just think I have a problem.
Not happening. Not happening.
go. There we go. Come on, go through the portal. You can do it. You actually did a hot sauce stream? Yeah, I did. That's awesome. I have to go back and watch it. I was on vacation and missed it. Yes. So if anyone's here that missed it, Wick sent the hot sauces that were on our forum a few days ago, or last week. He actually made them and sent them out to me. He shipped them to me. They arrived an hour before stream. I had a bunch of wings that I made up. Just baked them in the oven a little bit. Salt and pepper. And then yeah, we tried wings on stream. I also brought some hot sauces that I made from the summer before. And I struggled. It's a lot of heavy breathing. Would we get a lore master Dutcher in the future? I would love to ask hard-hitting questions like, what's the canon campaign lore for Monolith, since the Monolith left side is past, is the past of current campaign, and right side is the future. So curious what the canon timelines are. Yeah, like that's definitely a weak point in my knowledge about stuff. Just really strict canon details. I'm real bad at it. And yeah, I definitely think that's something that I'd like to have happen. Whoever's listening, someone call the lore master next week. Let's do it. I'll ask him, see if he's interested. I think I did previously, and I think he was. I feel like we started to do that, and something changed. Or I just forgot, because I'm bad. Alright, where are we here? How do you imagine a warlock? Something like Forger with one summon and does spell damage. I can't really talk too much about the extra classes that are missing. Current plan is to have some pretty unique mechanics that go along with warlock. Yeah. We actually... yeah, okay, here's something. Some of the technology we developed for one of the dungeons was actually something we were developing initially for a warlock ability.
Not happening.
Hey. There was a wall, I didn't see the wall.
Not happening.
Oh, I dinged. And everything leveled up. Oh my goodness. It's overwhelming. I didn't level up, just my skills did. Oh, it's a spicy one. Alright. Here we go. Actually trigger the fight. Why doesn't the marksman rate of arrows proc either the Hail of Arrows skill, or at least use Hail of Arrows skill tree? That feels a bit of a missed opportunity. Yeah, so we considered that actually.
Not happening.
It was too strong, basically. We still wanted to have that type of effect without forcing people to use the skill. It's kind of what it is. And they do go well together, and it feels a little disjointed when you're playing them both simultaneously. But it's a really iconic effect and style in just games in general, like that have any sort of thing like this. And so we really wanted to make sure that effect was available to people who weren't using the skill. Is more what the goal was there. But yeah, where it was actually activating the skill properly, it was either too strong or didn't feel great. We got another gifted sub here. Saigon 3 has Sigian? I'm pronouncing it horrible. That's okay. Subbed himself. There you go. Don't forget yourself. Glad to have you with us. I feel like every time I just want to say, like, stay a while and listen, but, like, nah, you know. Something off about that. Ice Beetle. Doing work. Yeah, freeze everything. That's my Beetle. You shall be missed. Oh. I will enact a ritual for your death. If I stand further away instead of just eating the damage. But it's so tasty.
Not happening.
But I wanna. Oh. Oh yeah, Sabretooth model.
Not happening.
Alright, will we be seeing respec all passes button fingers hurt from all the clicking? That's we're still figuring out exactly how we want that to be structured. We know it's not the way we want it to be right now. We don't know how we want it to be yet. We know this isn't it. So maybe. Hope so. I think it'll likely be more of a, instead of respec all, just optimizing the way it is now for less clicking in general. And pay at the end type thing. Maybe a respec all. Like, it's definitely too much clicking right now. Say that much. Have you considered adding the tier difficulty system to the empowered monoliths, like unlocking a new tier every 100 corruption? 4 tiers, last one goes forever, like current one. I feel like it would be good, good for the feeling of progress and balance modifiers related to corruption. So yeah, having like breakpoints that are more clearly delineated, because there kind of are breakpoints for different systems already. Like for example, and I don't know the details of how much this has been figured out, but the backlight on my keyboard's not turning on. Bah! My device is currently being controlled by Last Epoch.exe. Alright. Who do I have to blame about that? Sadly, myself. I'm actually just doing that. Okay, is there... What's going on here? Loot filter... Yeah. Turn my keyboard back on. Yeah, we have. Sorry, what was I saying? There is already. Sorry, Lizard, I got distracted. There is support for. Support's the wrong word. The corruption tiers with the monolith. So there's certain rewards, boss rewards, boss item rewards that will only start dropping at a certain tier. So we kind of already do that type of thing. It's just there's no jump.
Easy.
The big thing about the tiers for the dungeons in the arena now is that they're all like level tiers. They're all structured by level instead of corruption. Now it wouldn't be too hard to extend that, but I think because corruption can be a much larger number, there becomes less distinction between, like, there's 100 tiers of level in a sense, I guess, and then there's like, say 5 tiers or 4 tiers or whatever of like a dungeon. So there's on average 25 level tiers per dungeon tier. You know, that makes any sense? But when corruption has no top really, maybe like you look at it as 1,000 is sort of the highest reasonable amount. I know people go higher than that. But even if you have only 4, that's still 250 per tier, right? It's a much bigger range. I know you go up the tiers faster, you move up around a lot quicker too. But that sort of relationship between like a small number of tiers and a large number of tiers, having that ratio be tighter is usually easier to relate to. I'm also not sure what would happen at those higher tiers. We kind of like, also we kind of have the same thing with just regular and empowered. So I think we'd have to take out one of the other systems to make it really work. So I think we'd have to take out regular empowered, or we'd have to take out corruption, basically.
Easy. Too easy. Not happening.
Okay. That would have been a good time to smoke bomb. Ooh, ascendance. Ooh, we could like ascend some runes. Maybe we can get some
Not
uniques we want. Just roll a bunch of them. That'll be fun. Will we get a Monolith Pinnacle boss in the future? Like an Uber Shade, something like with a Monolith system that's designed to challenge people with min-max builds that we can farm and learn for cool rewards. I love Dungeon T4, but they don't feel like a truly iconic pinnacle of their content. Yes, I would agree that we don't have, oh, maybe this is what you're saying, but I don't think that we have currently a like an Uber Elder or a Shaper or, you know, like things like that. We don't have a Chaos Tristram event. We don't have like a singular, like, this is the extra, like a QLEX. Shout out to anyone who got that reference. Like optional extra boss that's really difficult and is only for meant as a challenge content system. But I think in order to call the game 1.0 release, I would definitely heavily argue that we need one. I don't think there'll be a hard point to sell, you know? Ooh. That was a hurt. But yeah, the dungeon bosses are not designed to be the, like, the final test. If that makes any sense. I know that some of them kind of are right now. Yeah. What's your view on players having problems with boss mechanics and asking for nerfs? I think context is everything. There's sort of two things that need to come together to make a boss encounter fun and challenging, and like, I guess how you there's two things that really come together for the player to overcome a boss encounter, or to overcome any challenge really, and that's especially in a game that has RPG elements. There's two. There's how well your character is, the character you've created is, like the build, the things that have gone into, like which skills did you pick, which nodes did you put points into, like how did you organize that, all that sort of stuff. I don't know what to put points into here. Bleed chance, cool, good job, Mike. So how did you build your character? Did you pick a bunch of bow skills and you've got swords equipped? Like did you go really really bad? Like, you can intentionally make a bad build, right? I don't know, just wait, do it later. So I think that that's one really key part. And then there's just player skill, so learning how the boss fight goes, learning the mechanics, all those things. And I think there's a really interesting distinction based on primarily genre, I think, between games that are pretty similar, but have these same two key limiters. And I'm actually talking about a really specific game here, alongside us, which is it's genre adjacent, I think. That can have very different ratios of these two things. So and I'm sure there's examples that go the other way too. And probably I put Diablo 3 in the other direction. So Diablo 3 has a lot of boss fights, especially in rifts, where the mechanics don't really matter that much, and most of what those boss fights are is they're a gear check, they're a DPS check, they're a health check. Like they're much less about how well can you do these mechanics. Some of them do have some interesting mechanics involved, so I don't want to sound like I'm disparaging Diablo 3 here. But a lot of it is just, is my gear good enough to get through this fight? And yeah, you have to execute your build and everything like that. But it's less about interaction with the boss specifically. It's just about you. And that might be completely wrong at certain levels of play that are higher than I ever got to. But I think it's probably pretty accurate. And then the other end of the spectrum, I would say, is something more along the lines of Elden Ring, which is a new game that's come out recently. If anyone doesn't know, it is the latest game from Software. No, I do not have a stutter. That's the name of the studio, is From Software. And there's a lot less emphasis on gear. It's really heavy emphasis on boss mechanics. How well do you know the boss? If you're good enough, can you beat this boss naked with a dagger? You know, on a level 1 character. Probably. I'm sure there's people out there that do it. Crazy people that are unbelievably good at the game. But yes, I'm sure there's people out there that can do it. That's a lot harder to do in, like, let's go back to the other end of the spectrum. Diablo 3, you're up against the, like, Greater Rift 200 or whatever the number is right now, and
Not happening.
you've got a level 1 character. There's just no way you can do it. It doesn't matter how good you are at the game. It's not happening, as my character would so eloquently say. I think we're somewhere in the middle there for sure. So sometimes I do see these forum posts pop up sometimes, or Reddit discussions pop up about how a boss is just too difficult and needs to be mechanically changed to be easier, or just sometimes it's too much damage output or too much health or something like that. And these are all different dials we have that we can turn, because we can do little things like just increasing the cast time on an ability doesn't really change too much, like how much damage you're taking or something like that. Or maybe it's not the cast time, but it's like the time between, like a boss throws out an AoE and there's like an AoE marker on the ground. It's like, get out of this radius, get out of this radius. It's gonna hit, it's gonna hit, it's gonna hit, and then it hits. And if you're still standing, you die. And just increasing that time doesn't actually change the total amount of damage the boss does, especially if you can do other attacks while it's charging. But it does make the fight easier to do from a mechanical standpoint. So there are ways we can, and we can just turn up a boss's health, and that makes it harder from a just a stats standpoint. I should come up with names of both of these so as I'm talking about this. I think a lot of the time there's room for people to improve their characters, room for people to learn the boss mechanics better, and I don't think too many bosses are actually really overpowered in our game right now. I wouldn't say. I could be wrong about that. It's a really difficult thing for someone who plays the game a lot to evaluate, especially for people who are newer with the game, because they're fights that you learn a lot. Like some games that you played forever that you just know off the top of your head what to do. Like, if I walk into Mephisto's chamber, I can probably do it blind, you know, with the number of times you've done it. It's just teleport over the bridge, teleport back, stand in the sweet spot, and, you know, cast meteors till they die. And it doesn't. If you don't know that, if you haven't done it a million times, you may need a much more powerful character to do it. I'm not really sure what I'm getting at here. I think the answer is we definitely listen to feedback, and it's too hard, it's too easy is really difficult feedback to weight properly and decide what's the right action to take afterwards. But we do our best with it. Rambly answers, doodly doo. Have any bugs become features in Last Epoch? Something unintentional, but just kind of worked out. Oh, I'm sure that that's happened. Yes. Do I have a good example off the top of my head? No.
Not happening.
I almost guarantee that there's been. I can guarantee. I knew this has happened. I don't have a good example. I'm sorry. Where I've been working on a skill, and like, there'll be some math where it's like, okay, it has to rotate at this rate in order to do this thing, but I'll have hit negative instead of positive, and it'll rotate the other way, or it'll also have a translation, so it'll move at the same time, and I'll be like, that was a really cool motion, and we'll just we'll go with it, and we'll use it for something. Sometimes it won't be on that skill, it'll be like a new node, or a new skill will come out of it. There was something we were doing. I don't know if we ever used this on anything, but I know an example of something that this happened actually. Ice barrage homes in on target. So like you shoot a bunch of the ice barrages, and they kind of curve to hit the target, so that it's easier to aim a little bit. It's real tough to aim otherwise. And I remember when we were doing that, I had accidentally set it to repel from enemies instead of home towards them, and the way that the pattern that the dummies were set up in, and the angle I was shooting at, the projectile started like moving in a constant pattern, like through the inside of all these things it was trying to avoid, and it was just going back and forth of constantly avoiding everything around it, and wasn't hitting anything. It was really cool. I feel like we used that for something, or we had plans for it or something. Oops. That's what happens when your hand is one space over on the keyboard. Kind of want like you know those like little pieces of like those little nubs that are on the F and the J key. Yes, I know which keys they are. They want one of those on like the Q key, so I can just like Always get my thinking to the right spot. Oh. You do some serious damage, and I'm using my free dodges to take none of it. Many people believe that with the launch of multiplayer we will see improved integrity for some competitive aspects of Last Epoch. Absolutely. I wonder, will this be something that is delivered on release, or do you all expect to roll out some of the changes over time, not as multiplayer minimum viable products? So, the main reason why main reason why we haven't made the ladders reliable and secure, and there's never a cheater on the ladder ever, is because we don't have multiplayer yet. Like, it's just not possible to trust anything that any client program running on someone else's computer says their score was on the ladder. We just can't trust it ever. And in order to have some form of ladder, we kind of have to trust it, because there's no other way to do it right now. So we don't have like our hands are tied in the sense of, well, we can't trust it if we want it to be reliable, and we have to trust it because we know other way, so it can't be reliable. But when we have multiplayer, the client doesn't tell the game servers anything for that. The server is telling the ladder what happened, and it doesn't care what the client said. The client can be like, I just completed wave 2000, and the server's like, no, you didn't. So it wouldn't be an issue anymore. And so, like, once multiplayer rolls out and the ladder for multiplayer is integrated properly, it will just be this. And I'm sure there's still ways that things can happen that are bad, and we'll still have to work on that. But instead of it just being like a lost cause, it'll be possible. So you will see a dramatic increase in reliability on the ladder very quickly. Yeah. Random Name X has subbed for the 9th month in a row. Welcome back. Glad to have you with us. Thank you very much. I take it that was a good answer you liked. Or just coincidence. Alright. I hope that answered your question, Zakaris Bay. Void Warlock, yeah, there's an idea. Mike, if it were up to you, what class mastery would you like to rework? I would like rework a whole mastery? None. I would be if I was working on a specific mastery as a whole, it would be much more for the new masteries. I think passives, the mage mastery passives need the most work. So I guess mage is the answer, if I had to answer that question. Warlock, Necro Fire Switch. Warlock Necrotic. I see what you're saying. I can't really talk about specifics for upcoming classes, unfortunately, yet. They're not built. I assume this is in reference to, oh yeah, me saying the dungeon thing, fire necrotic switch thing. Yeah, no, nope. Not that, no. Lightning converted hammer throw when? You want to be Thor? Or just because there's other throwing synergies with lightning in Sentinel? I don't know. Also, well, there's also did we just do a lightning implicit hammer? I think we did. There's gonna be changes to. I don't think that one has throwing damage on it though. How does the team feel about player defenses currently? I mean, that's such a broad question. Simultaneously good and bad. I don't know how to answer it really. There's certain things about it that are really great, certain things about it that still need work. Overall, I think it's in a really good place compared to where it's been in the past, and it's just getting better. Like, individual unique items can have a surprisingly large impact on the overall ecosystem for defensive elements. And I still think we'll see. I think we'll still see a few of those high impact defensive related items through uniques. Things like Bastion of Honor has a huge impact on that ecosystem, and I think it was starting to have a negative impact on it. I know nobody likes nerfs, but I think it was really healthy for the game as a whole to have that be taken from oh, you're gonna use something in your offhand? Well, it should be that. To oh, you're gonna be like, you want to be a block build? Okay, that's your one to go for. It's the best one. Go. Come on. Come on. Remember to include at Last Epoch Game to have Mike see your questions to answer. Yes, thank you, Kane. I don't know who he was referring to. I think it's probably the question right above it. Loving the current stash customization, but are there plans for more specialized stashes like in the other ARPGs? I'm currently drowning in storage management and comparing gear to keep it somewhat organized. Yeah, I think there's some really good examples of stash management things that show up in other games. Specifically like the having like default auto storage elements where like you a tab that's like key tab, and you just like, or sword tab, and you just pop it over there and it goes to the specific like sword tab or something like that. Like that's really cool. Stuff like that. There's lots of good stuff in there, and it's definitely not a completed, fully finished system. There's a couple bugs in there still we need to work out. But yeah, it's more stuff's always coming. Good ideas. I asked about the tiers because I personally don't think that corruption affects difficulty at all. Really? 99% of the difficulty of the map comes down to the infinite scaling modifiers that make the experience super unsatisfying, like it's harder 300 corruption or 500. Well, it depends on the mods. I really dislike that this, that is an option, if it makes sense. Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. So, like, even just having corruption have a bigger impact, really. Might just be enough there, like reducing the scale on it, where like just do a like a merge, a compression, a stack compression. So like everywhere that would give 3 corruption gives 1 corruption, and everything that 1 corruption or that 3 corruption did 1 corruption now does, or something like that. You know, like just take all the numbers and divide them by 3. Except for what corruption does, multiply that by 3, and yeah, and it's kind of the same thing about adding tiers. Really, instead, is that it's doing that same thing, but just way more extreme. So instead of it being by 3, it's by 300. That makes sense. okay. It's a good thing this is so easy and there's not a lot of damage coming out. I can just like relax and just gonna cruise through it, right?
Not happening.
Ah! It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. We're good, we're good.
Easy. Too easy.
Well, my character is way cockier than I am, I'll say that much. But it looks like she knows what she's doing. At least? Which class would you say has the greatest potential to cover the screen in hard-hitting dots? As all the dots love the dot playstyle. Ah, that's a tough question. I think Marksman probably does. Well, Marksman or Sorcerer, I think, would be the two. There's lots of good ones. Like, Wandering Spirits does a lot. Thinking Volcanic Orb has a lot of potential for that. Multi-Shot has a lot of potential for that. I mean, a couple patches ago, busted. Swarmblade had the best one for that. There's lots of good options there. Hammer Throw has a lot of potential for that too. There's a lot, you know. There's a lot of good wide dots. The trick about dots is you got to know how to stop dots. Oh, I see a Super Mario RPG reference. Demois 183. Congrats. I don't know if anyone got that before you, but that is absolutely what it was. Very well done. Love that game. Definitely the best game in the Paper Mario series. And yes, it's part of the Paper Mario series. It's totally what spawned that. If you haven't played Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars, that is one of my favorite games of all time, and I highly recommend it. The writing's great, the music's wonderful, the gameplay is tons of fun. It's classic RPG, JRPG style. There's active elements to combat, which you start just becoming second nature, which I always love. It's got tons of little secrets hidden all over the place. Characters you wouldn't expect, characters you've never seen again. Yeah. Phenomenal game. Phenomenal game. I loved having the princess with her frying pan. Yes, Peach is a playable character and is great. It's actually... You can cheese with Peach, but she's really not very good otherwise. Are you guys planning to add a new dungeon keys as explicit Monolith reward arena keys, like arena keys are? We talked about it. It's still up in the air, maybe. Probably not in 8.5. If we did, it would be next patch. I think the next hotfix is basically just bringing the uniques that we were missing. There might be a few fixes here and there, but that's the main thing it's doing. How's the progress going with all the secret stuff you won't mention? Fantastic, pretty good, better than I expected, really well, and done. I don't know. There's not actually 5 secret things, and I didn't actually go through them in my head. I was just being a twit. Just for the record, in case anyone's wondering. Alright, excited for Kane to help on my new unique. Ooh. Hope you got good plans. I expect great things. We'll watch your career with great interest.
Not happening.
Oh, come on. Alright, what's the next one? What's the next one? When making design choices, you come across a scenario like this. Should be a one-shot on the player. How do you approach it feeling fair versus cheap? Because I think one-shot on players can be fun, but at the same time, most games make them feel cheap. So curious what your approach to the problem is. You ever see me like shooting horribly missed shots and kind of just stutter stepping and shooting randomly? It's because I'm reading chat.
Not happening.
It's a great question. It's a great question. I think there's a couple ways you can do it. First of all, it needs to be really obvious that it's gonna be bad. Okay.
Easy. Too easy.
And giving. So there's a few things here. Teaching players that it's gonna be a one shot's really important. So having some way to say like, this is really bad, you need to get out of it, don't try and tank it, is really important. And that's hard. That's really hard to convey without just having someone stand in it once and die to it, which sucks. So you want people to you need to communicate that it's going to be really dangerous without just killing them at least once, which it's really difficult to do, because if you I've seen a lot of suggestions where people say like, okay, we'll give a light version of it to show that like this indicates something bad, and then a big version of it to actually kill the player. Yeah, that's really tricky, because you can end up teaching them that it's not actually that bad, and they'll just stand in the really big one. The other thing you can do is let the player pick like a sliding difficulty selection. So this is a little bit what happens in the Monolith, where you are picking your own damage modifiers that you're going up against, and if you've selected too many of them, things start to become one-shots. So the feels fair part of that is, well, I mean, you picked it to be that hard, so it's that hard. Like you let that difficulty scale up, and it's slow because you add a little bit here, a little bit there. But that's also tricky because it usually comes with a carrot, and if you really want that carrot, it's like, okay, well, this carrot I should have access to this carrot, but I don't, because the stick part is too much. So there can be some negative reactions there too. I'm kind of just talking about. I'm thinking out loud going through this. Really, I don't have a good answer off the top of my head. I think the most important part is making it really obvious that it's going to happen, and giving plenty of time to get out of it. So having an AoE be really big, and it'd be obvious when it's going to go off, and all sorts of stuff. And so if someone does stick around in there, it's, oh, I got greedy, instead of, oh, this thing took a cheap shot at me. So I'll bring it back. So I've been playing a fair bit of Elden Ring lately. Actually, I've been loving it. So I'll keep it to the things I like the most and the positive things for the most part.
Not happening.
I could talk for hours about various things in that game. Anyways, the one thing that I am struggling with a little bit is one-shots that are two-shots, if that makes any sense. So sometimes you get knocked down, and like you'll take a big hit, and you're there, and your character's like slowly getting up, and you're like, alright, okay, I'm gonna get up, and I'm gonna roll away really quickly, and then you're like 98% of the way through standing up, and he just hits you one more time, and you die, and you're like, oh. But that doesn't feel great. Because it's that feeling of like, I've got a chance, but you don't really. And so I think that's a big part of it, is making people feel like they have a chance when they do,
Not happening.
and having a way to impact that the situation you're in. So if like keeping control in the character is really important, and telegraphing what's going to happen and giving them a chance to react and get out of it. I think those are the biggest parts of it. I probably have a slightly different answer to that question if I spent a lot of time thinking about it. But I hope that was a little bit helpful. Where are we here? Getting pretty close to this. I think we can finish this. And get into a dungeon or two. Maybe I won't be as clappy. Are you going to make hitting level 100 a long-term goal pre or post-launch? It's so easy to hit at the moment. Race to 100 will be a huge deal on launch for sure, in my opinion. Oh, yeah. I think 90 to 100 right now is too easy. I think there's a very good chance that will stretch out. It might be a couple stretches that happen. It might not be all at once. I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but the amount of power you actually get from going from 90 to 100 isn't actually that much power on its own, because you're not unlocking new passives, you're not unlocking you're not unlocking a lot of new stuff. You're kind of taking the stuff you skipped over because it wasn't good enough to be taken on your first pass. And as a percentage of total number of, I'm talking about passives here mostly, and as a percentage of the total number of passives, every point is worth less than the point before it, so to speak. That's not really how it works, but yeah. So I think extending that 90 to 100 is in the best overall interest of the game. And I don't know. I have no idea how much it'll be extended by, if it will be extended at all. You know, that's stuff we've got to talk about and work out the best thing. But I'm fairly confident that it will be extended some. Be pretty surprised if it stayed exactly where it is, because yeah, it feels too fast right now, I think. I don't know. I really like Diablo 2. I bring up Diablo 2 a lot, but all the build guides would usually stop at 90, because you're like, or just say, and the rest of your points in X, because they know that most people aren't getting up that high, and it doesn't really matter that much. There's a lot of similarities there. Yeah, cast your avalanche over there. All confusing. Oh. Hello from Russia, Stetson. Hello, AVTO Mobilist 96. Glad to have you here. What idea outside of what's already in the pipeline would you have in mind to spice up either build depth or core in-game gameplay loop? I think it's something we actually touched on a little bit earlier, is having that Uber boss, that final, like, can I ever do this? Maybe. Give it a shot. Work towards it. I think that's the big thing. Also, just more randomization systems for content itself, more different types of dungeons, having a better ladder, multiplayer. You know, there's a lot of stuff. I guess what idea outside of what's already in the pipeline? Oh, probably nothing. So if I'm hearing this right, multiplayer is going to mean an official online only mode. Well, like when you're playing there's terms in there that I don't know your definition of, so maybe. Yeah, multiplayer will have an online only mode. Yeah, like that's the core thing of it, where like you're playing online, the actual gameplay code is running on a server. It's not running on your computer. Your computer is just processing the visuals. It's sending your command inputs. The server is validating those. The server is then telling you where characters are. The server is telling you when you take damage. You know, it's the server's running the game, and you're interacting with the server instead of your computer is running the game. That could end up being a really nice ring. Let's look at that, actually. There's some not bad rings that just dropped there. I'll take it. Hot sauce when? Whenever I want. I don't have any food for the stream. You know what we could probably do here? I've done anything. We're past halfway mark. I've given you nothing so far. Here is something that will seem both new and familiar. That's my theme for today's today's stream. New and familiar. Ooh. Last shaman ability win. We don't actually 100% know what it's going to be. There's actually here's something. There's likely 2 new shaman abilities coming. Ooh, what's that mean? Someone probably knows what I mean by that, actually. But there will not be more. Not shaman. There's 1 new shaman ability, 2 new abilities for primalist total coming. But it will not have more abilities than any other class. No ETA, sorry. Not next patch. Primalist is not getting any new skills next patch. When I say Primalist, I mean like Primalist, Shaman, Druid, Beastmaster. Alright. Where are we going? We're going this way. The thing you described in Elden Ring, the 2-shot thingy, that's why we don't like current stuns in Last Epoch. Yeah, I can see. I think it's a little bit different because there's so much time between the first hit and the death. Like, there's several times more time. Like, 5 times more time between the 2? Maybe more?
Not happening.
Alright. So excited for Warlock. Is there any teasers that you can give us at all what it will be like? No, I can't tell you anything at all. The only thing I can tell you is that there's a very brief description on our website that you could go look at. Here. I'll give you everything I can give. It's not a lot. A master of the forbidden arts, she tears into the essence of her foes, twisting and corrupting their spirits. Curses that dim the mind and break the body. The faintest word from her lips bear vile enough magic to snuff the life of her enemies entirely. That's all the info I got on Warlock for you. And that some piece of functionality, like behind the scenes tech that we created for one of the dungeons, will also be used in one of the skills that the Warlock might have eventually. Which is selling nothing, but I just thought it was just cool. I think there's a little bit of a misconception on how much progress and priority we put on the new classes right now. They're not really being worked on actively, and they're not right around the corner or anything like that. Like, I haven't done anything with Warlock in, I don't know, a year. Probably more. Oh, I should bring chat up again, shouldn't I? Total update soon. Not much, no. If you were to add a Barbarian Master class post-launch, what would be a must-have skill idea off the top of your head? Yeah, I mean, so this is there's a lot of stuff that's already in the game that's really iconic. When I think Barbarian, like the two iconic things I think of are, like, I always think of Diablo 2 Barbarian. So, Whirlwind and Battle Orders, Shout, Battle Command. You know, like, so shouts and Whirlwind are the two big things that come to mind for me personally. Another thing really is that dual wielding two-handed weapons. Those are like the big things that come to mind really. And I think something in there would have to be pretty heavily involved. So maybe this is, and please don't take this as this is what we're doing. Maybe there's overlap skills. Maybe Warpath gets 2 classes it's associated with. You know, maybe maybe dual wielding two-handers becomes a thing. Maybe, like, this is all. You notice how many times I'm saying maybe because I have no idea if any of this could be possible or would happen ever. But those are the sorts of things that I think of personally. Barbarian to me is very much I'm gonna hit you in the face and it's gonna hurt a lot. Also, I'm really tough. Like, that's Barbarian in my world. Leap attacks, there's already Fury Leap, there's already work right. Like, it might involve moving skills that are already on other classes, other master classes. So it may not be a, like, here's 5 new Barbarian skills. It might be like, okay, I'm gonna take this skill from here and this skill from there, and then 3 new skills, and that's Barbarian, and then we're gonna add 2 new skills to other ones as well. So that can happen. There's at least one skill that's already in the game. Here's something. There's at least one skill that's already in the game and has been for a very long time that is eventually one day in a long time down the road planned to be a skill that will be given to a 4th mastery for that class. Yeah. So there's one skill in the game that's already earmarked for a 4th mastery in that class. Didn't even look how much I needed. Hello, and thanks for fast help. All worked good. You're welcome. I don't remember what I did. I doubt it was me. I just saw a chat message that got blocked for using the word creep, and I approved it. I don't know if that gets put at the currently sent messages, so it might be a weird chat message that just got put out of place. I think overlap. Skills sound very good. Some skills really would be interesting in other mastery classes. Yeah, I like it's definitely an idea we've toyed with. It does cause a lot of problems. Like, oh, Soulfire Bastion Key, nice. Suddenly, if we do that, does like say we had say it was done and okay, how do you do that? Is it just like the class unlocks it? Is it through an item sometimes maybe? Like there's all sorts of ways to do it, but there's a lot of difficulties and there's reasons we don't have that already, but yeah. There might come a time where it's necessary and worthwhile and good to have. We'll see. So suddenly items, I think part of what I was getting at, suddenly items, say there's a sentinel only body armor that specifically relates to Warpath, and it's like necessary for Warpath builds to have this armor. And then you give Warpath to Barbarian as well. Does like suddenly do you need to make that armor also functional for Primalist or for Barbarian? Do you just make another different version of the unique that's on a Primalist base? Maybe that's what you do. Maybe you have them. Maybe you don't, so that it's specifically different and there's different tools on each class. I mean, you already have that synergy with other skills and other masteries, other passives as well that go with it. And there's also triggers inside the skill tree itself, like skills one skill might reference another skill in that mastery. So suddenly does like if Warpath's triggering abilities inside the tree, does suddenly Primalist have access to those other skills as well? Or maybe the node says, maybe we change the nodes to say, like, oh, it triggers this ability or this ability depending on which class you are. So yeah, there's a lot that goes into something like that, and that's like, if that were to happen, we're really clear that it's not guaranteed to happen, but if it were to happen, any skill being multi-class like that, I think that's a post 1.0 thing. And I think it's really important for us to have those design spaces that we can expand into, like things that are really interesting and cool that we can open up and focus a patch around, focus a cycle around. Having those things ready to go is really important to us, and we definitely sometimes when we're in design meetings, someone will be sitting around talking about something, and someone will go, "I got an idea, everybody. I got an idea," and we'll all be like, "Yeah, that's a great idea." Post-launch idea, and it goes in a bin. And it's really important to have those ideas and to not do them halfway. I think it's like and maybe so say that idea is like doable, but we can do like a basic version of it now. Sometimes it's not worthwhile to do the basic version first. Because sometimes it just won't be as fleshed out as you want it to be, and it leaves a bad taste for that style of mechanic down the road. So sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. It's a very subjective thing. Yeah. Not even gonna pick up that. Missed like 3 shots in a row there. Without naming names, what are some of the biggest ARPG traps you're all trying to avoid from a dev perspective? Scope creep, power creep, community management, etc. I mean, like, every game makes mistakes, no game's perfect, us included, we make mistakes, you know, like, there's so many things like that. And I like, we learn from our mistakes, we learn from other people's mistakes. I'm saying this really vaguely and broadly because I'm deciding if I want to actually say any specifics or not while I'm talking. I don't know if I do.
Too easy.
I think we need to. Here's something else. I think we need to be mindful of our studio size and experience before biting off more than we can chew. and cautious is the wrong word, because I don't think we're cautious. But being realistic might be a good way to put it. And focusing on the fundamentals. I think that's a good way to put it. Being realistic and focusing on the fundamentals. Like, having the game release with half the classes and half the skills and half the gear, but like really tight mechanics and movement and multiplayer and like minimal bugs is way preferable to having huge expansive systems that are unbelievably interconnected and adaptive to your playstyle and learn and like all these ridiculous things, but missing out on fundamentals like just stuff not hitting when you want it to, or like losing your items, which I just looked at the next comment of someone. They're saying that they had lost their character gold items unboxed. So yeah, fixing stuff like that's much more important. All right. Multi-class. Yeah, it's well, multi-classing's a I think would be a really cool thing to have in the game, and we like in a sense we kind of do a little bit. Like I would call being able to go into the like see these 5 points in Blade Dancer. I'd consider that a multi-classing to some extent. Like I've got 20 points in Rogue, I've got 59 in Marksman, I've got 5 in Blade Dancer. Like, I'd call that multi-classing in the like most base sense of it. Now I know you're kind of looking at that going, okay, well yeah, but you're all just Rogue. That's your class really that you selected at the start. And yeah, you're right, it is. So getting abilities from other base classes is really interesting, and having some overlap there is really cool. Who knows if that's going to happen or when that's going to happen if it does, but it's another one of those like nice design spaces that you can expand into.
Not happening.
Just love seeing them all just walk through it and crumble. By that logic, every Sentinel is multi-classing since they're all using sigils or reversal. Yeah. Yep. Volatile reversal is a really interesting skill. We've reworked it a couple times. That hasn't been pushed. We've got a couple scrapped reworks of it that have been done.
Too easy. Not
like the base functionality of it. One of them I'm still pulling for. Those gloves. Those gloves. Oh yeah, ice hockey player. Yes, I missed that question. If you have a question for me and I didn't answer it, please repost it with an @Last Epoch game in the question. I will be happy to get to it. Yes, answer your question. I am a senior developer. Oh, senior designer. Senior developer, I think, is more accurate. I do a lot of design stuff as well. But a lot of people are involved with design. We definitely have people who it's more dedicated. I've been recently, last few days, I've been really getting in heavily to... Oh, we can do this now. Nice. Nice. Been writing design documents. Lots of design documents. Actually been enjoying it, which is crazy. Honestly didn't think I would when I started it, but
Gods be with you.
Dove right in and really enjoying myself now. Okay, so what am I doing? Thanks for holding down the fort over on Ask the Devs, Llama. I see you're answering someone's questions a whole bunch there. But I'm a little busy and can't do it myself right now.
Yes? Take care of yourself?
Trying to take care of you, lady. So that is Akarian's petals. Yes, thank you for saying yes. I mean, it's very similar looking, right? It's got a little bit of a something going on. That doesn't look quite right, does it? It's not new art just for that. Akarian's petal art is sticking around in the game. You might notice a slight theme once I show you another one here. Once I show you the third one, you'll understand. Stop slacking and answer some acid questions. Nah, you just locked the channel. Is it possible to get sounds for the loot filter? That's a pretty hotly requested item. We're not actively working on that right now, but I do think it's a good idea, and I'd be surprised if it doesn't happen eventually. The key thing about it is that it would be a similar system to Lone Star McFluffhead. Welcome! Raiding party of 10 people, come on down. Wait, that's not right. Some other show, isn't it? Anyways, glad to have you with us. What were you saying? Loot filter, sounds loot filter. Yes, it would be similar to recolor. How there's like a list of colors here, and you can't. There's not just a palette. We actually did have a palette in here where you just like enter a hex or like pick it on like a. If anyone's ever used like Photoshop or anything where you're picking a color, where you just pick any color. Cool, didn't say that. We would likely have a list of specific sounds that would be available, so people could be like, yeah, you can put sounds on there, but it would be here's a choice of 1 of 20 sounds instead of talking to your microphone now. I know a lot of people would really want that, but there's room for bad things to happen that we kind of want to not leave room for. If you know what I mean. Time to go home. Oh, what else do we got here? Showing off art for Soulfire Bastion unique items, I think. I mean, you're kinda close. But there's really something specific about these ones that's interesting. Because it's not that. Because there's art that was released recently that's pretty clearly Soulfire Bastion unique art, right? Like, let's find those, because I think that's pretty. Where are those? Unique items. Like, oh, I hate that it adds the background there when you just open just the image. Like, so that these new ones that I'm putting up are not boss uniques for boss drops. They're not unique boss drops for Soulfire Bastion. Is it a Necro Fire set wall? No, it's not. Unique set of items for Soulfire Bastion Dungeon. Kinda, not really, no. Wait. Yeah, I mean, kinda, not really, no is the right answer, but yes at the same time. Yeah, okay, insert well, yes, but actually no meme here. Okay, so no need to keep doing this community unique event. We've already decided that the unique will create zombies. Zombies! Ah! Didn't even notice. That's good. Get your favorite devs inappropriate shoutouts as drop sounds now. I mean, okay, so having sound packs that we put in the game might leave room for non-traditional sounds that we feel are appropriate enough, but still fun to go in, that might be released on certain days of the year. You know.
Not happening.
There's a few clips, sound clips that one might play on the stream, actually. That would be definitely would never make it in the game. You know, oof, no way we'd be that irresponsible. Sound would be nice for the loot filter. Is a mini game in itself. Yeah, it's making a loot filter that is full featured and accessible is so flippin' difficult. Oh my goodness. Just like, oh, it's so hard. Anyways, there's definitely still more stuff we want to do with the loot filter.
Not happening.
One thing that I really want to do with it, and I've talked about this a few times, is having some sort of in-game shareable system for loot filters. So where you just open your loot filter and you'd be like, new loot filter, and one of the options is like select from a community one, and there's just like a database of loot filters in game that'll be like upvoted and have descriptions, and you know, you can filter by like, oh, I need one for a rogue, and it'll just only show you rogue ones. And I know there's databases online for things like that already, and build guides quite often come with loot filter files, which is fantastic. And the people who do that, having it in game, I think would make it a lot more accessible for a lot of people. I mean, we've tried to hide certain features behind like advanced buttons, just so people don't get overwhelmed with it. But we're still working on that and improving that. I'm sure that's something, like loot filter in general, is something that will get a lot of improvements for years to come. That's one of those systems that you look at and you're like, that's never really going to be done, is it? Okay, let's just keep going. I want to fight the boss. He owes me $20 still. Where do you see set items going in the future? Oh, great question. I don't have a good answer for it. There's a few things we've talked about and looked at. I'm in the middle of writing the items design document right now. We're kind of retroactively writing some of them or updating them, because we had some documents that are just too old now. And I was writing the set section yesterday. And I was like writing it out. And I put a section in there. I'm just like, there's room for there's room for changes here or something. I can't remember what I wrote, but it was about needing this not to be the final version of it. I saw some really interesting posts on our forums this last couple weeks. There was one that I really liked. We haven't talked about it yet, so I'm the only one I know for sure that's read it. I'm sure other people have too on the team, but we haven't discussed it in our design meetings yet. There was one that was, instead of each item being instead of needing 3 set items to activate a bonus, you need like 6 set power to activate the bonus. And each item could have anywhere from like 1 to 4 set power. So like you could need 6 items to activate it with 1 set power, or you might only need 2 to activate it, each with 3 set power or something like that. I thought that was a really cool way to like have that have the power for set items have a way to scale and grow, possibly even through like a dungeon system that maybe like increased set power of an item or something like that, or re-rolled the set power of an item or something like that. You know, and I really liked that idea. I haven't really dug into it or talked about it, and I don't know if there's any problems or pitfalls there, but that was one that I enjoyed. Because I think the biggest thing that set items fall victim to right now is they're just not good enough in general, and they don't have much tail on the chase. They sort of have this, I don't know how to describe it. There's this weird, like, okay, we got everything, and it can sometimes be a big spike in power, and having that final the final piece that you add to your gear, and the final set bonus is huge, and that's what you've been going for, and having it be really impactful is important in order to make an incentive to go for it. But then, like, the rest of the gear has to be kind of crap in order to make the whole thing not too powerful, and it's really tricky to have them function nicely. And I don't know what to do about it yet. But I think set power, I don't know what the name we'd give the stat as well, but that's what I'm trying to... Set potential doesn't really work, so set power is the one I like the most. Can't remember what they called it in the post, or whose post it was. I'm sorry, whoever it was, great post, I enjoyed it. There were a few other posts about set items recently too that I enjoyed as well. So it wasn't just that one. That was just the one I liked the most. In my opinion, does not mean everything at all in this context. All right, more questions. Let's keep the ball rolling. So for Halloween, B-Dance Mike, sound loot filter, got it. Yeah. Yeah, why not? I want it. Let me pick it up. Come on, huh? Please? Thank you. It's holding out on me. Should come down here first. They're fighting each other? That doesn't happen very often. So the set power would be similar to legendary potential, so if it sounds like reasonable thing. It would actually be really different than legendary potential, but in the sense that there's this like more like extra stat version of set items that you could drop that would have build changing implications. Yeah. So like you've got like you're sitting on you need like 3 set pieces that make up this set to get the set bonus you really want, and one of them's like a single set power item, and you're like and you find like another one of them that has like 1 more set power on it, and suddenly you've got this like you can take one of those items out, and suddenly you've got this whole new like the slot opens up to be able to switch it with something that's a little less, maybe a unique that has a bonus that's also complementary. And I think just like having this place later on in the game, as you like after you completed this set, there's still room to have that like set puzzle change implications is I think really important. I really like it. That was the big thing that I liked about it so much. One problem is also with it becoming too specialized, where it creates a best in slot mechanic in the only viable way of playing certain skills. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that having the like really interesting parts of the mechanics in the set bonuses, and having the legendary or the set power on these set items is that maybe you find like say like the gloves in the set are like the weakest part of the set, right? But you find a 4 set power set of gloves, and it's like, okay, well now I can take off another piece that's actually a pretty good piece in the set, to like put, but this other unique fits in better, and you keep going with that until suddenly you do find the other piece, like the chest piece, say, with high set potential, set power, and then you like switch out the gloves for better gloves, and you put the chest back in, and there's still this like this gear reorganizing puzzle that still can happen after you've completed the set, and I think that's really important. Yeah. When like the set bonus becomes the best in slot piece, but which piece is giving you that set bonus can change, or like how you're configuring your gear to get that set bonus can still change after you've got it. I think that's the key that really needs to make set items great. And honestly, just realizing that right now as we're talking. So maybe I'm wrong. Alright, next one. Giving you guys are about 3-month content patches. Is it roughly what to expect for cycle time frames 3 months before new ones, or will they last longer? They might last longer, and patches between now and launch might start to deviate from that timeline a bit. I would say you can be less confident in that regularity, shorter or longer. Patch timings between now and launch will start to become more based on what we have done and when we want which content we want to release together, rather than keeping up a timeline, because of the types of content that's coming out in the next few patches. Game design on the fly. I mean, I wake up some mornings and I'm like, I've got it. All right, I got one more item to share with you. It doesn't, kind of fades into the UI a little bit worse, which is not ideal. You just make it bigger. Does that make the problem even worse? Kind of does. Oh, that fixes it. Mike, what are you doing? There we go. Now I will leave it to you. Was if anyone ever read Dijkstra? It's an exercise for the reader. Is that what he said? Oh, that was some dry reading. I was never a big fan. Brilliant man. Leave it for the reader to decide the to work out the connection. Puzzle bosses ever been talked about? A boss where the mechanic is interesting, with interacting with the environment to figure out a puzzle to unlock a boss fight. Be a nice, unique boss experience from the rest of the normal. Go in and kill it. So there's a really interesting thing that happened when I was pretty early in DMing. Me and my buddies. So someone gave us a Pathfinder book, which is basically Dungeons and Dragons. A lot of people call Pathfinder D&D 3.5. So it's very similar, tabletop RPG, a lot of fun, big fan. So I was
Not happening.
of my friends that I was living with at the time, I'm one of the more nerdy people. So it was kind of just I was really excited to do it, but I kind of defaulted a little bit to just the DM for it, which totally happy to do it. Now I didn't read as much as I should have as a young DM, which was a mistake, but I had a ton of fun with it and learned a lot of things. And one interesting thing was I created a lot of puzzles in the campaigns early on, and they were puzzles that the people sitting at the table had to figure out. And we had this moment where they figured out the puzzle. I can't remember exactly what it was. This is a while ago. They figured out the puzzle, and the person who figured it out, their character was like 0 intelligence, just dumb. It weren't from the area, had no idea what was going on. Like, their character was the last person that should have figured out that puzzle. But they, as a person, did figure it out. And it creates this, it made me think a lot about designing like meta puzzles or intellectually complex puzzles that the player has to figure out in an RPG setting when really, like, if you're going to look at like immersion for it, the characters who should be figuring out that puzzle. But it doesn't always make sense for the character to figure out that puzzle. So there's sort of this like disconnect a little bit between the character and the gameplay, which is unfortunate, which ideally you want to avoid if you can. But just having a situation where you're like, roll a d20, did my character figure out the puzzle? That's less engaging. And I think there's like some interesting stuff that happens, some similarities with that problem with a game like Epoch as well. So I really like having things like that in the game. I think it could bring a lot to it. So like puzzle bosses, I think could be really good. One of the hard parts about it is once you've learned the puzzle, it really trivializes it as well. And it's a lot of fun the first time, and not a lot of fun after that. So you almost have to have a puzzle that changes based on, like, an adaptive puzzle. I no idea what that looks like. But that's sort of what I'd be looking at to try and do is in order to have something like this actually in game. It's some sort of like adaptive puzzle system where it's like a little bit different each time, and then you also have to have it be like, a lot of people don't play games like these specifically to solve puzzles like that. It's kind of like almost a different game genre as well. Oh, I knew that was coming. Could have dodged it. And so yeah, I'm not sure about the state of puzzle bosses in general, but it is a really interesting thing, and I do like the idea a lot. Might not be obvious what I'm doing, but I'm standing on one half of the if anyone's struggling with this fight, because it's a tough fight, there's a lot of mechanics happening all at once that you got to watch out for. Whenever he puts his head down, like the eye goes below the platform, he's gonna stand up quickly and suddenly and like do a big attack right in front of him. So the eye goes down like that right there, you gotta move. Claw goes up, you don't have to move much, but you gotta move because you might get stunned. When the eye turns color and he kind of like rotates a little bit before he starts going, you want to try and move as far away to the other side as possible, because what you're hoping for him to do is like, so he's picked a way that's like facing forward, and if you're on one side of that, whatever forward is, you want to try and get to the other side of that so that he starts doing it and shoots towards where you were, but doesn't turn towards where you now are. Well, that's not great for us. We'll just take mana, I guess? We don't need mana at all. But we don't even apply shock or deal lightning damage. That's a little unfortunate, but I think mana's better than nothing. Take the Soulfire Bastion key. I do not believe it, so. Alright. Did I miss any questions? Probably. Sockets still on the menu. Sockets are a great, I think sockets are a really good example of having design space to grow into. And I don't think we'll see them in 1.0, but I do think we will see them. And when I word it like that, I could be very wrong. So, any thoughts on taking bosses from the now optional empowered Monolith quests, adding them as random boss for empowered echoes? Love that idea. Haven't thought of it before. Oh, I see. Ori Claire's here. My time has come. I mentioned this before. I'm like, I know someone's gonna be really happy about this. You're welcome. Is there any plans to implement an in-game auto hotkey for, say, one skill before release? Say up to one skill before release? Extremely unlikely. Extremely unlikely. I hate saying no, like just outright no's on things. I'm very tempted to say outright no to that. Hope those blessings, yeah. Yeah, those blessings, so good. My bridge. Yeah. Second bridge. Yeah. Wait, still skill points. I think radius and growth speed is what I was doing. Just tried already on you. You don't need allies for that. I mean, just more different types of dots being applied is not bad. I mean, that's pretty sweet. Sure, let's do that. We don't care about that. Don't care about that. I mean, that's pretty sweet. Haste duration, yeah, let's just crank that to full. This is what I was going towards. Armor Shred's really great too. Let's just do frailty. Yeah. That's what I like. I know I've deviated from the build. I've altered the build. Pray I don't alter it again. I have 2 minutes! 2 minutes! I should not have entered this. How fast can we do it? Any chance there will be a class-specific blessings in the future, a chance to get multiple blessings from one timeline? I would say it'll be extremely rare to ever have, like, 2 blessings on a single timeline. It's not impossible, but very rare. Class-specific blessings could be a thing. The system supports it.
Too easy.
We don't have any plans for it at the moment, but it does support it.
Not happening.
Just wanna get through this one, cause I'm gonna run overtime. And I don't like running overtime if I can help it. Jazz hands. I mean, option 2 for completing is I just die. Which might just happen. Did I not even click this yet? Oh my goodness, I thought I clicked it. There we go. Handled. Handled. All right. Where did we get to? Is there any last second questions here before I sign off? Woo! Get that money. Cash money. Ooh. Ooh. Wait, those rings. I was pretty happy with those rings, actually. Last couple questions here. Do you have an actual ETA multiplayer? No. And will there be a market or an auction house? There will be some form of way to have items that you didn't pick up and do things with items to other players that they didn't pick up. That's about all I can say right now. Once league season's, not sure what you want to call it. We're calling them cycles right now. Begin will effort. Next topic won't be this week. Did I say that? No, next topics won't be this week. I said that before. It was planned to be this week, and we pushed it to next week. Sorry. Will effort be made not to clash with the release of Path of Exile League dates? The first and foremost thing, and this could change. Currently, our main plan is to do what's best for our game timeline. If we can still have our own timeline that we like and that we're happy with, if we have an option between two dates and there's not really a big difference as far as we're concerned, and one of those dates conflicts with Path of Exiles and one of them doesn't, we'll pick the one that doesn't. We're very aware that there are two games, more than just one game in the space, and we need to... a lot of people like to play multiples of those games, and we need to respect those games and respect people's times, and it's I think healthier to like try and offset them if we can. Yeah, but I just can't guarantee that every single one's going to be completely separate, because there might end up being some incidental overlap. But we like to keep them separate. And you may notice from our patches already that we try and do that now. Alright, last one. Thanks for a good time as always. Till next week. You're welcome. Thanks for stopping by. I had a ton of fun. I hope you did too. I'll be back same time, same place next week. Hope to see you then.